Howdy guys, so in today's video we're going to be talking about the Tamron 20mm f2.8. It's a pretty cheap budget-friendly lens, usually comes in at about $250, and I'm going to show you the pictures that I've taken with it, and I'm going to let you know whether or not I think you should still buy it. So let's just get right into it. So starting off this review like I do most of my reviews, I don't talk about the size and weight of this thing. So this lens weighs about 8 ounces by itself, obviously not with the camera. I think that comes to about 225 grams for metric users. And then it measures about 2.5 inches down, which I think is about 6.5 centimeters if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, the size of this lens is awesome. I mean, it makes the A7 III maybe not quite like a pocket camera per se, but it makes it super compact, and it makes me, actually gonna take the camera out because it's not extremely massive. I actually mostly use this lens on my ZV-E10, which is actually recording this video right now. So a lot of the pictures you'll see in this video are actually from that camera and not the A7 III. So in terms of build quality, this thing is actually pretty nice. I mean, it's obviously not going to be like a Sony GM lens or something like that, but it feels pretty sturdy in the hand despite being so tiny and light. The front and back caps are pretty big and heavy. I mean, the front cap is like super nice and clippy. It's massive, as you can see. And then the most shocking thing to me is the fact that this actually has complete weather sealing. For $250, I mean, that's insane that Tamron gave us weather sealing for that cheap of a price. I took this thing out actually a couple of days ago into a bit of a rainstorm. I was shooting down in the city, and then all of a sudden, like, a storm just came in over the lake, and I got soaked. The camera got soaked, and yeah, I managed to get it back in the bag and back home safely. So that's pretty impressive that we have complete weather sealing on a $250 lens. Definitely seems like this thing was, built with like landscapes and that sort of thing in mind. So in terms of sharpness, I mean, I'm not much of a pixel people. I zoom in a little bit, but you're not going to see any like super complex testing charts or diagrams or anything like that on this channel. From my experience, it's obviously not going to be as sharp as, again, like a Sony GM lens. But I did find when stopped down a little bit, it did look quite good. I mean, shooting at f2.8, the corners were a little bit soft, especially on fair frame. You don't really notice that on APS-C, obviously. But yeah, the corners were a little bit soft at f2.8, but I found that stopping down to 5.6, maybe f8, it really sharpened them up, and honestly, spectacular image quality out of a $250 lens. But not everything is perfect. I mean, with this being such a wide angle lens, you do have a little bit of distortion. I mean, that's to be expected out of a 20mm, but this is a little bit extreme. I put some samples up on the screen here, some like before and after correction samples, and you'll see like distortion straight out of camera is pretty strong. Even after correction, I would be a little bit hesitant to use this for any like, straight line pictures like architecture and that sort of thing. Though you'll see in the sample photos here, I did shoot some pictures of houses. So distortion is definitely a big problem. And then on that subject, vignetting is also pretty strong at f2.8. Now this isn't as big of a concern for me because, to be honest, you can call me an amateur, but I like actually having a slight vignette in most of my images. Most of them, not all of them. So this slight vignette doesn't bother me much, and it is easy to fix with a single click in post-processing. It's not strong enough to where you have the risk of introducing digital noise by, pushing up those edge shadows. And then in terms of chromatic aberration, I don't think I necessarily have the eye for chromatic aberration. I just typically don't notice it, but I did take some pictures of like branches against the sunlit sky, which is a pretty typical like torture test, so to speak, and I didn't notice too much fringing. There was a little bit of fringing, but again, I was able to fix that with a simple slider in Lightroom, so it's not a big issue to me. And then finally, flare resistance is, I would say, average at best. Like, you can't shoot straight into the sun, you can't shoot straight into like, artificial light, but flaring isn't too bad. I put a couple more samples up on the screen here of some night shots while I was shooting directly into streetlights. So yeah, besides a few drawbacks, image quality in general is just actually pretty great, especially given the price of this lens, so not too many complaints from me there. Oh, and just before we move on, a quick interesting thing about this lens is it actually has 0.50x magnification and a super close focusing distance, which is kind of strange. So this isn't going to be like a super dedicated macro lens. You're not going to be taking like super close-up pictures of like insects and plants and that sort of thing, but you can get some pretty neat casual close-up shots. I'm not a macro photographer by any means, but I'll just put a couple of samples up on the screen here of me at like minimum focusing distance. But yeah, obviously not a dedicated macro lens, but if you're looking for a wide angle lens that can just do some like casual macro for fun, this is actually a pretty good option for that. So far I've been praising every single thing about this lens, but now it's time to talk about autofocus. Now autofocus is fast, it's super reliable, it doesn't hunt, it looks great, but it does have two major issues. The first is going to be focus breathing. You'll see on a clip I have on the screen here, as it focuses on the lens cap, you'll see the edges of the frame pretty much like slide in and out, so focus breathing is absolutely insane. And then next up is autofocus noise. So if I'm shooting pictures, I don't care if the autofocus is noisy, but I do a lot of video and I kind of got this lens with the intention to use it for video a little bit, and the autofocus noise is extremely loud. If you have like a lav mic on, you're not going to hear it, but if you have a mic mounted on top of your camera, like I do, I have a shotgun mic up there, it's going to pick up every single time the lens focuses. I'll just stop talking for a minute and put a clip up on the screen so you can hear the noise. It's kind of like a clicking noise. So yeah, as you can see, or I guess here, so to speak, the autofocus noise is crazy. So I would say, to end this video, I would say if you're a video shooter, do not buy this lens. You're going to waste your money and you're going to be unhappy with the results if you use on-camera microphones. Now that being said, if you just shoot pictures and you're looking for an amazing wide angle for just, shooting anything, I would definitely suggest it. Like this thing, images look amazing, it's pretty nicely built, pretty solid, it's tiny, and it costs only about $250 on average. So yeah, if you're just taking photos, I would highly recommend buying this thing. I do have an affiliate link in the description. If you buy through that link, obviously you support the channel and I can, buy more lenses like this to review. But yeah guys, that pretty much sums up this video. Don't buy it if you do video, do buy it if you do pictures only. But yeah, thanks for watching and have a great day.